Greetings everyone, welcome aboard. My name is Joseph James. Happy hump day to you guys. April 20th, 2011, Wednesday morning. We talked about it earlier this morning, but it could have been a wacky Wednesday. Right now, remember, OPEX is next week. OPEX is not actually this week. Now remember, OPEX, right, went over this morning, third Friday of the month, unless the first day of the month is a Friday. April 1st was a Friday, which means it could have been OPEX this week, could have been a wacky Wednesday. It wasn't really. Next Wednesday's Wacky Wednesday, but boy, today, it sure as heck felt like Wacky Wednesday. We had our own Wacky Wednesday going today, right? So Wednesday morning, what happened this morning? We know Wednesdays always mean members training 11:30. Had a great training today. Wednesdays mean crude oil inventories usually. Okay, so we knew we had crude oil on our minds this morning. 10:30 crude inventories. We knew the personality would change between from 8 to 10, then from 10 to 10:30, and then from 10:30, of course, until about 12:30. So we've got these three phases that crude goes through on Wednesdays, and we were watching for that, right, since 7:45 this morning. We also had, today was the second day of Passover, right? Passover started yesterday or Monday at sundown, and of course today is, I guess, the more popular day of Passover. It felt like it was, that's for sure. It definitely felt like, right, the whole entire Jewish community had left the markets completely today. Yesterday, we had much better price action, but today, the second day of Passover, middle of the week, right, short week to begin with, Good Friday on Friday, I think a lot of that kind of piled up today, had traders, I would assume, hitting the exits early. Now, Wednesday crude inventories, we were looking at crude this morning, very sloppy from the start. Now, we began with gold, but gold didn't give us much to work with. Gold looked horrible. In fact, with us this morning, we saw probably some of the nastiest price action on gold we've seen in quite some time. Literally, one tick down, 10 ticks back up. One tick lower low, 10 ticks back up, right? Kept making this, what we call, indecisive moves down, right? Almost like the gold market and the crude today, right? We're testing the water before they jumped, right? That's what it felt like today. So Wednesdays, right, mean crude. We looked at gold, but gold was choppier than the dollar this morning. The dollar really, narrow wedge in the dollar this morning, and that really kind of kept gold at bay today. So we focused on crude, and we thought we had an easy day ahead of us. Right? I'll admit, I'm guilty as charged. We saw this morning one of our favorite patterns, a wedge. And now if you recall, on Tuesday morning, remember we were below the lows of the wedge? Monday morning. Monday morning, we had the same wedge, and we were below the wedge on Monday, right? On Tuesday, we were inside the wedge, right? By Wednesday, we're above the wedge, and we thought to ourselves, well, as long as we avoid that 10:30 time on crude, we should be able to, right, rock and roll on crude today. I wish it was that easy. Today was a really tough day on pretty much everything. It felt like everything was low volume, very grumpy, right? Didn't want to go in any real direction with any consistency. We'd see one tick lower low, right? Get you into the trade, and then it bounces you out, right? 20 ticks up, then comes right back down. It was just one of those days where we knew it right when we saw it, right? We knew at 7:45 this morning, yikes, this stuff does not look fun. Now, usually what will happen is the market will develop into a different personality. We'll get some news, we'll get some speed, and eventually we can avoid the early morning hour, let that personality develop. But today it never happened. So we found ourselves chasing the idea that, okay, it's going to get better. It's going to get better, right? I hope it gets better. It should get better, right? So we kept hoping, right, that four-letter word that's horrible for day traders, right? Hope, H-O-P-E. The minute we start hoping for better results, that's when we're really in trouble, right? So we were hoping all morning that the price action would get better, but it really didn't. And we knew on crude this morning, as it got closer and closer to 10:30, we had to stop trading about 10:15, and then we got back into it at 10:35, right, 10:38. We got some pretty good trades end of the morning, all right, and our results really don't show how challenging it was. You know, I think what made the day so difficult today on crude oil was that what we knew to be the best patterns, they kept failing. Right? Crude goes to the highs. We try to sell the highs. Sellers fail. So we end up buying. We make a new lower low. I'm at the highs of the wedge. I'm thinking to myself, right, wonderful. Give me a nice early entry here, right? Wave pattern short. I'll take my money now, please. Oh, no, not so fast, right? It sits here, sits right there on the top of the wedge. And so we said, okay, no big deal. That happened on Monday, right? On Monday, the lows of the wedge held. So we said, guys, that's okay. It's only a +5, -5 scratch. So at 9:45, I take my first trade short. We get the new lower lows. I try to get it to down tumble. And again, I'm hoping now it comes 100 ticks down, right, and hits the low of the wedge. Didn't happen though. 15 minutes later, 10 o'clock rolls around. And of course now at 10 o'clock, here we are. We're bouncing off the previous high of day. We're bouncing off the highs of the wedge. I'm still considering this an easy job. Just get me a little bit lower now. So this is when I said, all right, guys, we're probably going to have to wait here. Let's wait till we get below the 109. So I said, all right, we failed that first attempt. We'll just now wait till we get below 109 even, right? 109 even is right here. And so I said, if we get down below there, we can sell here, we're good to go. Well, never happened. Dollar drops, we see big buyers. Now here was your first entry long. I missed the first entry long, right? Just happened too fast. What I did do though is I grabbed my 4-range chart, and when price began to rise, I bought a little pullback on the 4-range chart right there. Tough to see in the 13 range. On the 4-range chart though, you're going to buy a pullback. So there's my first trade buying a pullback. I take my profit off at that swing high. Nice, easy, right? +7 is 14, +12 is 26, +9 is 35. So a new low of day in the dollar, I'm going to buy the crude now. I got in a little bit late, so I could have made more money on it, but obviously got back in here. Price keeps rising, I buy another pullback. And now here we are at the high of day. So once again, we see the dollar drop, 10 o'clock. I then buy here on crude. Right, pull back 1, wave 1, pull back 2, wave 2, up to the high of day. So I make my 35 ticks in the first one. I make my +5, -2, my 8 ticks on the second one. And so of course now we're buying off that support. We make some pretty good money there. But this is where we started getting kind of sloppy here. At this point now, there's my high of day. I'm now going to look to sell these highs, right? So I come up, we start going sideways. Here I am now at the high of that channel. And of course, what am I doing now? I'm trying to sell.